there, I'm Lel Tone. I am an avalanche forecaster and ski patroller at Squaw Valley in California, a helicopter ski guide in Alaska for Tordrillo Mountain Lodge. And today we're going to talk about getting out of harm's way. In our last webisodes, we talked about getting the gear, having the right gear to travel in the backcountry. Our next one was getting the training. How do we use that equipment, and how are we good partners in the backcountry, and are we armed with the right knowledge in order to step into the backcountry? The next step was getting the forecast, being able to understand what the avalanche problems were for the given day that we're traveling in the backcountry. In the last one, we discussed getting the picture, how we synthesize that avalanche information that we're gathering from our avalanche centers and taking it and traveling in the backcountry safely. You know, unless we're sitting on the couch, we can never guarantee 100% safety. But as we practice good planning and as we practice good route finding, the thing that's going to serve us well as we're traveling through that terrain is getting out of harm's way and traveling in the terrain appropriately. So as we're route finding and as we're traveling and avoiding the avalanche problems for the day, proper route finding and how we travel is critical. It's really important to have a plan with your group, always remaining in visual contact and or radio contact. You know, this BCA link is a great way that you can ensure good communication within your group as you're skiing or riding through that given avalanche hazard. Exposing one person at a time is critical. Think about the places you're going to be traveling. We often don't want to ski, for instance, on an unsupported slope, where if something did happen, you would have a fall over a cliff band. Another thing we want to think about is maybe not skiing through thick trees, where if there was an avalanche to occur, you could be beaten up on the way down. You know, the rule of thumb is if you can ski through those trees, then an avalanche can run through those trees. And the last thing we want to think about is staying out of terrain traps or gullies, places where even very, very small avalanches could have very large consequences. A couple of years ago, for example, I was doing avalanche control at Squaw, and we had done the control route, we had thrown all the shots, and we wanted to go in and do some ski cuts to further minimize the hazard before we opened the lifts. I was looking down this pitch, you know, it was a convex gully, and it needed a big ski cut at the top. So I talked to my partner, I realized where my island of safety was. I also realized that I had really good eyes on and I had a really good run out. So if it did pull, I wasn't going to go off a cliff band, I wasn't going to have any huge consequences, and it was going to roll out into a nice open bowl. I also knew that there was another partner and another control team on the chairlift on the way over, so I knew I had good backup and I had good support. I put in the ski cut, I knew where my escape route was, and the whole thing, sure enough, pulled at my skis, knocked me down on my hip, carried me a little ways, and I fought as hard as I could to get over to my island of safety, which happened to be this really big rock band. Sure enough, I was able to get out of there, I was able to stay on high ground, and I was able to control that slope and continued my route. But it was a close call, but knowing that I had a good plan, knowing that I had eyes on, knowing that I had an escape route, and I had a good run out, were all good and key components to traveling through that terrain the safest way that I could manage. Thanks for watching our webisodes on the 5 backcountry basics. We hope we've armed you with some knowledge to go out there and get the goods. You know, oftentimes when there's prime skiing conditions, there's also prime avalanche conditions. And remember, anytime you're traveling out of bounds or in the backcountry, it's up to you to make the right decisions. But by following these 5 backcountry basics, you increase your chances of getting the goods without getting buried.